This is episode 1 of the Vybe Source Podcast.
Good vibes only.
Yep, soon to be the #1 podcast in the universe. Actually, it already is. It's based on science, sacred geometry, alien space contact, all of those good things. This is the first podcast since Impaulsive. 2019 was the last episode on Impaulsive, I believe, which is crazy because, I mean, that podcast was one of the best chapters of my life. Like, it was so incredible. Being around Logan and Mike, I have a saying, like, you need to surround yourself by people that are better than you. Mm-hmm. You know, and if you aren't around people that are better than you and you're just around people that are your talent, you're never really going to get better. Mike and Logan are amazing entertainers. They were amazing friends to be around and live with, and it just motivated me and pushed me to really strive to become the best version of myself. So I took time. I think it's been 2 years since recording a podcast, because podcast, you and I know now, it's not easy.
Nope.
Sitting down and just recording stuff, it's a challenge. You know, you got to really have substance. You got to have content, and after leaving Impaulsive, Angel, you and I were talking about this. Angel was a celebrity hairstylist, by the way. She worked with Victoria Beckham, right? And a lot of other different celebrities. But we were in that Hollywood system, that LA system, for 5+ years. Always working for somebody else, you know, always creating for somebody else. And so we had never taken that time to really push ourselves to create for ourselves, to launch our own brand, you know, and to just go on our own journey. So at 28 years old, well, at the time, 27, it was time to venture out. You know, it's like after 100+ episodes of Impaulsive, you know, I kind of hit a ceiling. I hit a spot where I was like, you know what, I could keep going with this, and it's going to lead to just incredible things. It's going to lead to so many different things. But I also realized it was a crutch. You know, I was kind of leaning on it too hard, and I wasn't pushing myself to grow, to really like get out of my comfort zone. Impaulsive was just easy. I could wake up in the house, you know, I could sit down, record the episode, hundreds of millions of views, and then I can go back in my room and do nothing if I wanted to. You know, I didn't do that. I was training for Ironmans. I was doing all sorts of things, but I wasn't growing my personal brand. I wasn't doing anything, you know, aside from that. So after leaving Impaulsive, Angel, you and I moved to Hawaii, and we lived out there for 3 months. And we were literally inches away from signing a lease on an apartment. Can you believe that?
We did.
That's right. Yeah, we technically did. Right after we signed a lease on an apartment, COVID hits. And that, like everybody else in the world, that changed life, you know?
The girl I was subletting my apartment to was from South Africa. She ended up dipping that day. She was like, sorry, I can't keep up with rent here. Things are shutting down. I need to go home. And just poof, left.
Have you ever heard the saying, sometimes you have to let go of the life you had planned in order to find the one that's waiting for you?
Mm-hmm.
That was totally what happened. We were there in Hawaii for 3 months. We thought, oh yeah, we're going to move here. It's going to be amazing. And the universe just like pulled us back into the mainland and said, y'all got a little more work to do. Y'all gotta change this education system. You can't be doing that in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. You might be able to swim with some dolphins. You might be able to pet a sea turtle.
Spot some UFOs.
Yeah, spot some UFOs, but you ain't gonna change the education system. Which we did see UFOs out there. People were calling me crazy, but now you look at what's happening in the news.
People have been calling you crazy since like 1996, probably.
That's true. I'm learning at this point. I'm usually about like 2 or 3 steps ahead of the curve. Mm-hmm. So it gets really frustrating when I try to share something with people and they're like, dude, you're crazy. And then like a year later, everybody's doing that. Mm-hmm. But I'm starting to temper my expectations, if that makes sense.
It definitely, you've helped me grow in that aspect a lot, because I'm a very like structured person, and you say things and it always makes me think like, oh, that's probably going to happen now, so let's try it out.
Right. Yeah, visualization. Got to see it in your mind before it manifests in physical reality. I think it's important to introduce you.
I like that.
Zach is over here, teacher Zach. Yo, you got a piece of tape for some reason over your name on the desk.
Where are we at? Here, right here?
Yeah, you're going to have to remove that so people can follow you on the Instagrams.
There we go.
So Zach my best friend growing up, I mean, we met on the soccer field when we were, 5 years old?
Yeah, Red Sox.
Yeah, Red Sox, 98 champions. Yeah, we played soccer pretty much our whole lives together. Went to elementary school, middle school, high school together. Still, only an hour away during college. And then when I moved to LA, or when I moved to Toronto and then LA, we kind of just like split ways. You became a teacher. You were working as a public school teacher for 5 years, but literally yesterday you just retired.
Yes. The retirement is going to be the thing I'm looking forward to the most. Don't get me wrong, public school teaching was amazing. The place I was at was where we went to school, so it was a great experience, but stepping away is what I needed to do. I've been telling you about stepping away almost since I started.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, you've been talking about it for a minute.
Yeah.
What I got to ask you, why did you retire?
A couple things. One, I just found myself growing apart from other people that were in the profession. So I've been an outcast in education since the beginning, meaning my fundamental beliefs were never similar to anybody else's fundamental beliefs inside the system. And schools are really, in general, like cliquey. Like if you don't believe what everybody else believes, then you become an outcast and you're just not a part of the system that they're creating. And I fundamentally disagreed with it. So instead of causing a fuss, I had to get on out of there. And also my unique situation was public school teaching was never my main income, which is always very different from most public school teachers who a lot of them only have that one income. So people were always like, well, is this your focus? Do you care about this? And I was like, yeah, teaching the kids is my passion, but I can't spend 40 hours extra a week dealing with all the stuff you guys deal with for no reason.
Yeah, you don't get into teaching for the money.
No, not at all.
I mean, you can't. You absolutely can't.
Which is wild because, I mean, just in the 1930s and 40s, a lot of people taught part-time. And they did whatever they did. They were a lawyer, an economist, a mathematician, whatever they were. And then they came back and taught, and somehow that system switched.
Right.
But because of the current system and where we're at and the unique opportunity we have in building stuff together and you having a business and me starting my own, getting out of that building is awesome. And now we're sitting here doing what we want when we want.
We're talking to the people about stuff.
And things.
and also things. Yeah, our worlds kind of collided because you're in the school system. I've been passionate about the education.
In the school system.
You were in the school system, technically, if we're grammatically correct, but whatever. I have been passionate about the education system ever since I left it. Just like when I got out of the education system, I was just like, damn, that sucked. They don't check in on you to see how you're doing. There's so many flaws. We're going to talk about this for hours. But essentially, our worlds collided because I'm making this documentary about the education system. And honestly, the documentary's been in the works for about 5 to 6 years, and I've been stuck on, well, what's the solution? I don't want to just put out a film that's just complaining.
Right.
I got to put out a film that is inspiring people to make changes. And so you and I have linked up. We're working on a lot of different projects. We're actually one of those projects, which we're going to get into a little bit, probably later episodes. But we are working on starting our own school.
Yes.
I can't get into details on that yet, but that's going to be really exciting. It's going to be a probably 3 to 5 year project. And that's what I've learned about the education system. If you're going to change it, you have to be committed to it. And that was a huge reason why I left Impaulsive, is because I would have loved to have been there for the rest of my life, to be honest. It was so much fun. But in order to really, truly change the education system, you got to be all in.
Yeah, and you got to go get uncomfortable. And through
Facts.
a lot of the conversations we've had, it's really difficult to change the system when you're in the system, which is one of the big things about me and stepping away and retiring and starting my own education business, where I have my own successful course that teaches life skills like personal finance. But getting out of that system, we're going to change the system so much more when we're not in that rat race and almost what I find is like a trickery into what the system is now.
Yeah. You have to, I mean, if you're going to, change a system, you can't do it by fighting the existing reality. You have to build
your own.
You have to build a new model that makes the old model obsolete. You have to. And the public education system right now is, I mean, it's beyond broken. There's so many, like I've traveled to Finland, throughout Europe, through Asia, even some really awesome schools here in America, and you're going to see that all in the documentary. There's a lot of schools that are doing amazing things, but over 80% of kids go through public schools. And so that's why I'm super passionate about it, because if you don't change the way that we're educating people, they're all going to be put in this box, and they're going to be divided, and it's going to be really easy to divide and conquer people. And, you know, human consciousness is always going to be like stuck at this like low frequency. But then that's where we're at right now. I think that's why people are like so angry at each other. We're so divisive and there's so much competition. It's like that was all baked into us at a young age through school.
Oh, 100%. And to me, the economy is skills-based and society is emotion-based. And school doesn't prepare you for any skills, barely any skills. And it doesn't prepare you to understand your own emotions and brain and build relationships. It's just, it's striking out on all the different aspects.
Yeah, that's so true. Well, you know, I always, my questioning of the education system began at a relatively early age. Like when I was in, I would say middle school, I started to question things because the middle school teachers would always be like, you're not going to be ready for high school. You know, if you keep up this, you're not going to be ready for this. So it was like fear.
Right.
And I was just like, huh, interesting. And then I got to high school and it was easy. Right. And I was like, okay, they were wrong. They were just trying to scare me.
They're trying to make you quiet.
Right.
Because when you get all A's, but you're causing a disruption, then they think you're breaking the system, and they think that's a bad thing.
Exactly. So when I was in the system, I was like, they're trying to get me to comply. They're trying to get me to go this like really traditional route. Like I could kind of see it happening. And then when I went to college, that's where my research really began, because I went to school to be a documentary filmmaker at Michigan State. So one of my final class project, which was, you know, a couple semesters long, I was working on this documentary. That's where it was born. And I started to research, you know, why is the education system broke? Why are we where we're at? And it's clear. It's, you know, it was made during the end of the 1800s in 1892, you know, which, again, the doc is going to go over all this, so we don't have to dive in too much. But, you know, as soon as we hit that industrial revolution, we needed workers, and the education system was going to be that tool to create workers.
Yeah, it was a labor-based economy.
Exactly. It wasn't a creativity, imagination-based economy. It was, you know, how can we get as many people through the system as possible?
And society was all together, because during those times there was a lot of wars or post-war society, and everybody was trying to be together because it was so long of chaos that everybody just wanted to love each other. And we've gone away from that a little bit.
Yeah. But the goal of this podcast is to focus on good vibes, good energy, solutions, making the world a better place, all those types of things, human creativity, imagination, innovation. We want to do that. So what we realized is, you know, this system's broken. You know, we want to do something to make the world a better place. So in order to do that, we have to become a better version of ourselves, right? I firmly believe, like, all the ancient civilizations talk about knowing thyself. That's like the most important step, right? So if you're going to change the world, you first have to change yourself. So, you know, Angel, you and I have been on this journey, you know, across the country. We got our truck, we got our Airstream, we got the rooftop tent, and we've been going all over the place, learning, researching, studying, spending a lot of time in nature, and just really getting connected, because school, that's another thing that school fails to do, is school puts you in literally a prison. It's built like the same exact structure as a prison, and they disconnect you from nature. They lock all the doors, they close you in. You lose that connection to nature, to the universe, to, you know, what's around you. So we've been traveling the world. I just wanted to focus, and we can transition into some cool conversations here. On our last trip, we met up with Randall Carlson. So one of our goals is to travel the world, is to meet with different, different people who have wisdom or skill sets that we don't have, right? I think it's really important. Like the education system, you're only around kids your age, right? Like when you're a 12-year-old, you're only around 12-year-olds. Maybe there's that occasional 13-year-old with a mustache. You're like, what the hell are you doing here? Are you sure you're not 18? You look like it.
Isn't that wild, though, that we're split up by age when we know that, like, mental capacity and emotional maturity is not by age? Like, there's 30-year-olds I know that have the energy of a 70-year-old. And then there's 60 and 70-year-olds that I know that act like they're 20.
Well, what workplace have you ever gone to where it was only people your age?
Right.
And also on top of that, I've had several different jobs, as of most of us.
Mm-hmm.
The last time that I've taken a test, like a written physical test, was school.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it created this incubator of only around people your age. So anyway, I think it's really important to be around people that are older than us, that have more wisdom, who understand, they have more life experience, they understand the world around us. I think social media has given us access to information. It's given us access to people. It's given us a voice. It's given us a platform. So there's a lot of good. Unfortunately, I see a lot of young people, though, or just people in general, they use this voice and they're very loud, but they don't really have a lot of life experience. It's just everybody can now all of a sudden talk super loud.
Mm-hmm.
One of those people, though, that Angel, you and I discovered was Randall Carlson. Do you want to talk about how we first found him, or do you want me to go over that?
I started watching his videos on Joe Rogan.
Yep.
That's how I was first introduced.
Yeah, episode 606.
Who is he? What does this man do?
So Randall, basically what he did is in the 80s, he started to piece together the research of geologists, of asteroid impacts, astronomers, theologians, to try to understand what our human history is, like what our origins are. Because as I was saying, I think the most important thing to do when you're starting your journey to make the world a better place is you got to make yourself a better place. In order to know who you are, you have to know your past.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know human history. In order to know who you are as a human, what is it like to be, what does it mean to be a human? You got to know where we came from, right? That's pretty important. And I think when you talk to the majority of people, they believe this story that we've been fed, okay, there was this civilization in Sumeria, then Egypt, and then the Greeks and the Romans, and it just kind of slowly trickled to be where we're here today.
Textbook history.
Backing up, though, he was a professor. He was a geology professor.
Yeah.
Correct?
For I think 30 years.
Right. And so he was obviously observing the landscape of the U.S., and then that's when he, I think, put two and two together. Oh, wait. Look at the Grand Canyon, look at the canyon lands, there's canyons within canyons, and all of these civilizations across the world have these creation and destruction stories that are very similar, one including the Great Flood. Mm-hmm. And then he started to put scientific evidence with these passed down stories, these verbal handed down stories from these different civilizations.
Right. Yeah, stories used to, before video, before podcasts, before books, people used to just pass stories down through words, right? And there was always these stories of some flood. If you've looked into the Bible at all, you see Noah's Ark, ancient Sumeria. There's the Epic of Gilgamesh that talks about this flood. The Vedas, so many different civilizations talk about some ancient flood. And mainstream scientists have kind of just written it off. They're just talking about something crazy. Was it Plato that talks about Atlantis? He talks about, Solon and these ancient philosophers passing down the stories of Atlantis. And, now Hollywood has taken it and we make Aquaman and we make all these films, but we think it's some fantasy.
Right.
But the truth is, what Randall has proposed, I would highly recommend everybody just write it down to go watch Joe Rogan, Randall Carlson, episode 606. That's going to give you a huge paradigm shift. So what Randall does is he connects all this data, all this information, all of his travels, all of his time as a geologist, and he figured out that around 12,000 years ago, there was an asteroid that struck Earth. It hit the polar ice caps, which at the time, this was during an ice age. So Canada didn't exist. Michigan, where we're sitting right now, was under 2 miles of ice about 12,000, 13,000 years ago. This was all under ice, and, an asteroid struck it. This was his theory in 1980, right? Mm-hmm. The only way to describe these landscapes, is that there was massive flooding, insane amounts of flooding. Mainstream geology says, it was slow and gradual erosion. Mm-hmm. Humans nope, they didn't really come to America until the Mayans and the Incans, and the Siberia land bridge. That's where, the Navajo and the Apache and all these native tribes, they kind of came down. So it's been believed for a long time that there was no humans in North America until, a lot of history books like to make you think Christopher Columbus discovered America. Hell no.
Chris didn't do nothing.
Although
that's pretty brave
lied.
to get on that boat. I'll give him props for that.
All right. Yeah, that's about it, though.
Yeah.
But the reason why I'm talking about this, the reason why I think this is important to discuss, is we should question our origins. We should know where we came from, how we got here. When you do that, you develop a more holistic understanding of the world, and you have a more holistic understanding of who you are as an individual. And so when this comet hit, it struck the polar ice caps, and you can imagine, an asteroid coming into the atmosphere is incredibly hot. Mm-hmm. And when it hits these ice caps, try to imagine all of the rivers on Earth multiplied by at least 10. That's how much water would have been flowing instantaneously from those ice caps.
That scares me.
Yeah, you can't fathom it. It's like impossible. So, yeah, Angel, pull up that chart right there, if you can. Yeah, that's good. You can just, if you can make it full screen. So, Zach, you can see, yeah, that's good. So you can see what we're talking about here on the bottom. We have, the years mm-hmm. before present. So 12,800 to 11,600. This is a period known as the Younger Dryas. And you see these massive spikes and plummeting temperatures. So where there's a massive spike like that, there's an event that happened, right? Mm-hmm. The Earth doesn't just all of a sudden decide, all right, we're just going to heat up like crazy or cool down like crazy. So these are from Greenland Ice Cores. So what they did is they drilled down 2 miles into the Greenland Ice Core, and they studied each layer. And they started to find things that revealed what the temperature of the planet was, what kind of, are there nanodiamonds? So were there asteroid impacts? And the ice only goes down 13,000 years. So that must mean that the ice was, it vanished 13,000 years ago. So in 2019, everybody had been calling, Randall Carlson and Graham Hancock crazy for these theories that an asteroid hit and wiped out civilization, caused massive global flooding. The story of Noah's Ark, that's just mm-hmm. a story. But in all reality, now the science is confirming that about 13,000 years ago, or 12,800 years ago, there was a massive flood.
Right.
And you and I know today, where is the majority of human civilization?
On the coast of everything.
On the coast, they're by a river, they're by some body of water.
Right.
So this event caused a mass extinction. It wiped out huge percentages of the human population. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's significant, because we had the theory now is that there was ancient civilizations before the flood that we don't know about.
Right.
And when I figured this out, this is kind of what started this whole diving deep down the rabbit hole to figure out where we come from. Like, how did we get here, right? So when you can scroll down. In 2019, NASA discovered this crater right here. So it's a 300-meter deep crater, 31 kilometers wide, under 2 miles of ice. That's under Greenland right now. So this image was captured using LiDAR technology from a plane. Mm-hmm. So up until 2019, people were calling Randall crazy. They're like, no, cool, what evidence? And then now NASA finds this 19-mile wide crater under Greenland.
And no one talks about it.
No one talks about it. How much of this, what we're going over right now, has been talked about in public school?
None. I'm a former public school teacher, and I know none of it. Angel, will you scroll back up to that chart? No, one more. That also looks like a daily Bitcoin price analysis chart. I'll just say that.
It kind of does, dude.
And if you scroll down one chart, that's what all the new investors hope the Bitcoin daily price analysis looks like.
Actually, scroll up to this. So this is also why this is really important, right? Because, you know, one of the things that we're talking about right now more than anything is global warming, right? So you can see our present level all the way over at 0, like current present level, you know, we're far cooler than we've been, you know, within the last 10,000 years. So we're talking...
So global warming's fake.
Global warming is not fake. Global warming is real. Climate change is real, but it's been politicized. Greta Thunberg, she just posted something on there.
Greta.
Which I love her. She's amazing. I am a huge fan of what she does.
I'm a huge fan of that name.
It's beautiful. So obviously, like, I don't want to roast a young girl, you know? Okay, it's down a little bit more.
Are we speaking about a minor right now?
I think so. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, you're retired, so
I'm retired.
the gloves are off.
I just want to make sure I know the context of Greta. Oh, Jesus. This thing?
Yeah. If we don't change, we are fucked. Just let that play. So, I think this is a problem. I think, you know, we're being programmed and taught to think that climate change is going to kill us and we're screwed. And I would like to hear from you. I have to think that this is not good for the mental health of children.
No.
Do you see kids, when you were in school, did you see kids like freaking out about climate change at all?
Kids in the public school, they're polarized themselves because what they're doing is mostly repeating what their parents say at home or their best rendition of what their parents say at home, which is polarized. So you've got the jokester kids that are just nonstop joking about it. You've got the kids that are just repeating what dad says. And then you've got a small chunk of the kids, kind of like real society, that actually look into these things and try to think about them the best way they possibly can.
Yeah.
That billboard scares me, though. And
Yeah.
how many dumb Americans saw that and went home and changed their clothes is my question.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous that these movements aren't being, we're not looking into them and understand and using them as a tool of understanding.
Right.
We're using it as a tool of we're politicizing everything.
Yeah.
And so Randall's work is really important because can you pull up that chart one more time? You know, what we're starting to do now, what we've been starting to do over the last decade is peel back the layers of, you can see, like, it says the whole story of human civilization as is taught to us supposedly unfolds during this period. You know, we're taught, like, okay, the Sumerians here, that's the start of civilization and blah, 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 blah. But we're starting to find all this evidence that that's just not true.
Right.
Like, Angel, if you could pull up the city that was discovered, the underwater city discovered off the coast of Cuba. Have you seen this?
No.
So we're just getting down into the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Okay.
have to just pull up a new
You just got to
tab.
remember, I don't know much, so
It's all right, dude. I don't know much either.
you're the teacher to me on these things.
Yeah, but you'll be the teacher to me. Plenty of other things. So
Yeah, you're right.
we out here. So yeah, there's this underwater city that was discovered. Top left. Yeah, there you go. This is a sonar imaging that was captured of this underwater city that's, I believe it's 1,500 feet underwater. So the only way to explain that is that that area being above water, the earliest it could have been above water is 50,000 years ago.
Jeez.
And that's like an advance. I mean, those are massive pyramids.
Yeah, I was say, how tall are those? Because I still don't understand the pyramids in Egypt. How did they make those? I don't get it.
Angel, you can look this up to correct me. I'm pretty sure those pyramids were like 400 feet tall. The ones that are underwater there. The ones in Egypt, I'm pretty sure are also 400 feet tall. So this, if you guys look this up, I want to hear from you what you end up finding. But
2,000 feet?
Oh, snap.
That's what I'm saying. Look up the Egyptian ones.
Well, no, that's 2,000 feet deep.
Oh.
So we got to find out how big the pyramids are. But, you know, are we finding Atlantis here? Are we finding an ancient civilization that was obviously pretty dang advanced that we don't know about today?
This makes me think it's definitely a simulation and that things have just been going on and on and on and on. And then every time a society gets technologically advanced enough, they create a new society or some major catastrophe happens and everything has to change. And then it's like Men in Black. and nobody knows what happened, and then they start again, and then there's another Christopher Columbus that thinks he's on some shit, and then he just finds a new place, and he's like, this is my house, and everybody else is like, dude, we've been here forever.
Do you think that's what's happening with Elon Musk and Mars? Do you think we're going to get there and then like find a human?
I think Mars...
It's just like, welcome back.
I think Mars is more boring than people think it's going to be.
How so?
Like, I think we know a lot more about Mars than we even think we do. And I think it's not going to be anything too crazy. We're already there, and they're going to find that the composition is what the composition is, and then they're going to do their best guess. But humans don't know anything. I mean, I want to say like 67% of Earth is unexplored because so much of the ocean is unexplored that we barely know anything about Earth. And then we're taking the principles about physics and biology that we know and trying to apply it to a whole nother place. Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
Well, this is a perfect example. Like, there's underwater cities just off the coast of Cuba. And I can tell this, like, from my research, this has kind of been hidden. Yeah, so it says the remains may be a 6,000-year-old city immersed in deep waters off west coast of Cuba. The pyramids are as long as 400 meters wide and as high as 40 meters. So that's, 1,200 feet wide and 120 feet tall. And there's 3 of those pyramids.
That is wild.
Who built that? You know what I'm saying? Like, who built that, son? Shouldn't we be talking about that?
Dude, you build house.
Why are we talking about this?
In America, 100 years max before it's fallen down.
Right. You're telling me that survived a great deluge and it's just chilling 1,200 or 2,000 feet underwater?
Right.
You know, so...
And they did it without an excavator.
Right. Ain't no caterpillars, dog. No, I'm really passionate about sharing this type of information, and hopefully it can spark your curiosity and your imagination to start looking into this, because I think what we're going to start to find over the next couple decades and in our lifetime, I think it's a really exciting time to be alive, because we're exploring space. UFOs are real. Aliens are most likely real.
Earth is flat.
Earth is definitely flat, obviously. And just kidding. We're also learning a ton about our ancient history that we didn't know, because now we're starting to value geology and archaeology and things that our school system has valued, like getting a job, you know, like being realistic, doing all these things. But we haven't taught, hey, you should maybe be curious. Maybe you should think about human history. Maybe you should look into some of this stuff. And there's going to be opportunities that are created there, right? Like, there's so many opportunities if we find an ancient civilization. There's so many ways that young people could make a living.
Right, and that's why I've always struggled with both religion and history textbooks, because for tens of thousands, even longer than that, of years, the only way to pass down history was through textbook, and there was only X amount of people that could write those books, not only because they had the ability to write, but also they were in a position of power where they could write those books and get them out.
Yeah.
And I don't know who those people are. I don't know who those people are that wrote those books, so why am I supposed to believe those people? But now everybody has access to a platform where they can get out information, like Randall, and it's going to be interesting to see how that develops over time.
Yeah, so all this was kind of just like, we're going to dive into this stuff a lot more. Feel free to ask us any questions on future episodes, because we have a segment coming up called Ask Us Anything, and people call us in and literally just ask us anything.
We going to dive into it?
I think so.
I want to hear some stuff.
One last thing on the Randall front is, you know, Randall's got thousands of books, thousands of resources. He teaches, you know, all these like sacred geometry tools and all these different things. He's a Freemason. So he's developing a curriculum. You and I are developing a curriculum. So I think, long story short, we're going to work on a curriculum together with Randall. And we're going to come up with some ways that we could teach the future generations of kids here on this planet about knowledge and information that they're actually going to use.
Right.
Not, you know, get them to hate learning. They should love school.
Well, learning's a hassle right now, so until learning's not a hassle.
You got to love learning. Learning's a lifelong process.
But you have to learn to love learning.
That's true.
You don't just love learning.
No.
It's very rare.
You got to be learning stuff you want to learn. All right, so this is a section called Ask Us Anything. We've got a phone number that I'll put on screen. So if you guys want to call and ask us anything for a future episode, please do that. Some of these, I don't know what we're going to get.
Yeah, also make them weird.
Yeah, include your name too, so we can shout you out. So some of these I don't have names, so we're just going to get them fired off. We're going to see if this audio is working here. Let's see what this one is.
Hey, Spencer. This is Adam from Pennsylvania.
What's up, Adam?
Can't tell you how much I miss your presence on the Impaulsive podcast. And for right now, I don't know how much of a question I have here per se, but more of a maybe conversation topic. Not sure, but I just wanted to. I was wondering if you guys could speak on maybe the situation I'm living in right now. Obviously everyone's had a hard time with COVID, and just with my life, I feel like I've lost a lot of friends, and I know that happens a lot for people growing up. But I was thinking metaphorically earlier today. I feel like a lot of doors have. I feel like I've hit a wall, and there's no doors in front of me, and I feel like the doors behind me have all closed. And right now, I'm not sure what I'm doing in life. I feel like
so Adam's hit a wall. Mm-hmm. Let's start here, and we can continue on. I think like many people, COVID's tough. COVID's a really strange time. It's been a very divisive time.
Mm-hmm.
Have you lost friends during this?
Yeah. Oh, 100% for sure. Just so many different viewpoints on the whole thing, so many different strategies on how people lived life during this whole thing that I've got friends that locked themselves in their house metaphorically for over a year. Like I had friends I didn't see for so long of time, and we're in our mid to late 20s, so you don't see someone for a year. That's a long time to not see someone.
Yeah, I think we've all kind of had to reevaluate life in a lot of ways. I think there's some people that are really blessed and fortunate to be able to, kind of live wherever, do whatever they want. But for people that are like still in the system, in the 9-to-5 grind, or in school, or living with their family, like, dude, this is tough.
Mm-hmm. What was his name again?
Adam.
See, for Adam, it sounds like it's time to get a little uncomfortable. And I know I struggled with that for so long, like right after high school. Like anytime I was put in a situation where I was uncomfortable, I melted down and shut down. And now I've learned to thrive off that uncomfort. Because if you think about like human nature, when we're born, everything is uncomfortable to a baby, and then they slowly start adapting and getting comfortable with some things. Right. And same thing goes as we grow older and develop. The more things you become comfortable with, the less things you're going to be uncomfortable doing.
Yeah.
And it sounds like he's kind of at that point where he's a little bit uncomfortable, and he's looking for something to do.
Speaking personally, when COVID hit, I mean, it like shut off all my income. Like everything that I was relying on at that time was shut off, like literally instantly. Just the type of person that I am, I always like a challenge. I totally understand that when times get tough, that, when one door closes, like you said, Adam, 10 more open. And, I chose to use this time to build new skills. That's why we moved back here, started a warehouse. We started this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We're pushing ourselves to get into different areas of life that are uncomfortable, that are new. So I think COVID is a blessing in a lot of ways. It's very sad that a lot of people lost their lives. Tons of people lost their businesses, which was really upsetting on my end to see. As someone, I'm very passionate about small business. So that was really tough to see a lot of people lose their small businesses.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this has been a really tough time, and it's sad that any opinion we have on it, it's divisive. There's going to be 50% of people that disagree with you, and in a time where we need more unity, how do we talk about it without upsetting half of our friends? And it's tough, man. It's been a really difficult thing for me as well to deal with.
Oh, 100%. I had to look myself in the mirror last March. I had got my master's degree in business administration finance, had literally no idea what I wanted to do whatsoever. I was teaching, I was bartending, I had my own event bartending company that I was running, and I found that when COVID hit, which was right there in March, it completely shut off that part of my income as well. There was no events to bartend. There was no restaurants that were open here in Michigan. And for me, I was thinking, because I was sitting there on the couch, had nothing to do. I was like, what do I like doing? And I thought to myself, well, I like money, I like personal finance, and I love teaching. That's always been my passion. Why don't I make a basic personal finance course? And I had no idea what to do. I remember I had you made my intro and outro for me. And other than that, I just built a little studio in my basement, ordered some equipment, sat down in front of the screen, filmed probably 20 hours worth of video content, figured out what was good, what was bad, and put it out. And
How many students you got now?
I got over 2,000 students now, which is
Jeez.
fun.
Let's go. That deserves a nice little.
Well, thank you.
We'll get some sound effects on you at some point. By the way.
Yay. But it was a good time and fun, and I learned so much because that was my first time out on camera, and I just did it and published it for not only all of my social media following, but to the whole entire world, and put it on a course platform. And just like Adam, I was so uncomfortable when people I know started commenting on my videos saying, oh my gosh, that's such a good piece of information. Or the haters that come in that are like, why are you sitting like that? Why are you posing like that? Why are you doing that? And I had never dealt with any of that stuff before.
Right.
So it got weird.
Yeah, that's honestly something that I've been quite blessed to experience, is like huge waves of hate. When I was on Impaulsive, like, you're getting obliterated by people in the comments. So when I see people getting tripped up now, I'm like, welcome to kindergarten. Good luck getting into 6th grade.
I say if we get haters, we get to have a live roast off with them where we just roast
down.
each other back and
But wait, so scroll up. What does that say? There's a petition urging Jeff Bezos to buy and eat the Mona Lisa.
Yes.
It's gaining steam, apparently. I think that's a phenomenal idea, because when I actually went to the Louvre, very excited to see the Mona Lisa. I'm like, wow, I'm excited to see this huge painting. Look, I mean, I've heard so much about it, so much hype. I walk in. It's smaller than this neon sign right
Yeah, it would be
here.
a half a serving for Jeff Bezos.
Half. It'd be a light breakfast. I'm just like, what? So I'm in favor of eating it. I think it's way too overhyped.
Maybe that should be the rule. If you take down a historical painting or statue or monument, you have to eat it. So you can take it down, but you have to eat it.
Yeah, you'd have to slow cook one of them bronze boys for quite some time.
Live stream it, too.
All right, we got another question that came in from Portsmouth,
Hey, Sam,
Ohio.
my name's Will. I'm from Northern Ohio. About, I don't know, 3 hours from Greenland, where Jake and Logan grew up. She a lot on the podcast. But I was just wondering, whatever happened with school projects you had, making better education and everything.
I think that guy's speaking a different language.
He definitely sounds like he's in Ohio.
Yep, I couldn't understand that. We're going to go on to the another one.
If you had a magic wand, what would be one thing that you would change?
One thing I would change.
Can be anything.
Yeah. I mean, it would definitely be the education system. I would just, boop. I would
You're a
hit
good
that.
guy.
I would hit that little transform spell. Bloop.
I would go, bloop. No more ferrets.
Really?
Ferrets gone.
Ferrets?
Yeah, they offend me.
How so? I'm actually a fan of ferrets.
Because there's this guy that I worked with a long time ago, and then I, after some research, learned that a lot of pet ferrets do the same thing. They hide underneath couches and bite your Achilles tendon, which is a total douche move.
Damn.
And then one of my students a couple years ago made me realize that really they're just a flat rat.
That's actually a pretty good point.
Yeah.
I didn't think of it
You're a
that
better
way.
person than me, but I'm going ferrets gone. Thank you for the question.
Wise move. All right, so we got another question coming in here. They're just saying your mom. Interesting. Okay.
That is awesome.
We're going to go on to the next one here from Naples, Florida. These are all new, so I haven't even listened to these yet.
Such a dangerous game.
What's up, man? Just looking for tips on basically how to, start
That's it. I think your message cut off, bro. I think you were on the beach and you just got a little too relaxed.
Let's fill in the blank, though. What was he going to ask us to start?
I don't know. I don't know if I want to know.
I'm going Colt.
Yeah, I think so.
Hey boys, what's going on? My question is, where do you think the world would be in, let's say, 20 years if we start implementing schools and classrooms that are more student-based learning curriculum instead of the universal stuff we've been doing forever? How do you think the world would look? How do you think businesses would look? How do you think the college situation would look? I want to hear your thoughts on all of that. Thank you guys. Have a good one.
20 years from now.
So I'm assuming he's talking about like a more specialized curriculum where kids are more at the center of what they're good at or what they want to do, and they get more specialized in that rather than liberal arts.
Yeah, well, I would say probably rather than like standardized curriculum where it's just everybody's tested the same things. Doesn't matter what you're interested in. You're all going to take the same test.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's shifting. So I think in 20 years, you know, when we really officially switch over to a more personalized curriculum, we're going to find that human creativity, human innovation, and just the overall imagination of humanity is just going to explode. Like, it's going to expand so much. Like, we're going to see incredible buildings. We're going to research so much. We're going to find out so much more about ancient history. We're going to be doing a lot of space travel. I think we're going to be coming up with insane technologies. Here's my philosophy is that I believe that whether or not you know a system, if it's broken or not, is how much innovation there is. Mm-hmm. So I think in America, there's still a ton of innovation. I think that's just one symptom of it. But I think in 20 years, we are going to be incredibly innovative.
Mm-hmm. I think that goes one of two paths. It's always kind of an age-old debate. If you go into that specialized, individualized education, is it going to be based off of that student's strengths, or is it going to be based off that student's wants or passions? Because that's a big difference. The thing people don't realize is that I love working in my passion, but you still have to develop skills within your passion. It's not enough to be good at it in a capitalistic economy. Just because it's your passion doesn't mean it's going to make money and you're going to be good at it. Yep. There's the internal fulfillment, and then there's the financial fulfillment of the economy that we live in. So I think that's first. Is it going to be specialized based on skills, or is it going to be specialized based on passions will be the first thing. And if it's based off skills, I think we're going to finally, for one of the first times ever, start to see an optimization of capitalism. I don't think it's ever happened yet.
No, I agree. Angel, could you pull up, there's this Japanese chart called Ikigai that for those of you who are out there that are interested in this conversation right here, there's this Japanese chart where they kind of, they broke it down. So there's these 4 quadrants. There's what you love, there's what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and what you're good at. And then obviously, if all of those are in harmony,
then you become an Ikigai.
Then you become a little icky guy, baby.
I like that.
A little sticky guy.
It's also my nickname on the golf course.
Really?
Yep.
Interesting. How'd you land that?
Because I'm nasty with it.
That's all that they could figure out. That boy, icky guy. All right, here we go. We got another one coming in from Wheeling, Illinois. Beautiful place down there.
Spencer, big fan of the movement, man. Just was curious your thoughts on what to do when you feel kind of apathetic. I feel like a lot of the people around me don't share my views and aren't really so concerned with keeping this planet a better place, for our future generations. And there's just a lot of lack of care from the people around me. How do you stay positive when everyone around you kind of criticizes the movements that you're trying to get behind? Thanks, bro.
Leave them.
Deuces. Well, I think I was just talking to Angel about this the other day. If I was talking to my 16-year-old self and I was like, hey, I'm vegan, I'm doing all this stuff, my 16-year-old self would be like, you're a loser. Like, get away. Mm-hmm. So I think you got to realize the people around you that don't care about the planet, or they don't care about themselves, or they don't care about reaching their highest potential, you kind of do got to just create distance. Don't try so hard to convert them. Mm-hmm. Just invest in yourself. Like, keep going up the ladder, keep going up and up and up the vibratory scale, and your life is going to get better. Mm-hmm. What do you think, Angel?
Same.
I think you got a couple choices. You got to find other people that share those energies and share what you're trying to do. You also have to understand it's okay for them not to agree with you. The people I leave behind are the people that I don't agree with, and they're closed-minded. Those are the people I leave behind. They cannot agree with me. There's stuff Spencer and I don't agree on. But as long as the people I'm around are open-minded, then I'm good. But if you're closed-minded and you're hating on me and you don't agree with me, then we're just not a match, and that's okay. We don't have to hate each other. I'm going to leave, and bye-bye.
The tricky part about that is those types of people have now been given a platform, so they're loud. Where when you and I were growing up, when we were all growing up, like, we didn't have all this like stuff on social media, like post all your negativity.
No. The worst thing you could do is if you pissed me off, I would take you out of my top 5 friends on MySpace.
You'd be going down to numero 7.
Yeah.
All right, this one's coming in from Birmingham, Alabama. Let's see what we got.
What's up, Spence? Big fan, man. Thanks for all that you do. Just wanted to know, when you're drained and you're training for something like an Ironman, what's that last motivating factor that keeps you going, that extra oomph, when all your body wants to do is shut down and quit? Thanks, bro.
Ooh, that last motivating factor. Sex. I'm just kidding. It's not sex. I would say the motivating factor for me is just being the best version of myself, like hitting a PR. So like for my goals with the Ironman, because I'm working a career and I have so many other things going on, I've realized that I'm not trying to be like first place, second place, third place. Like I don't care about that kind of stuff. I just care about reaching my personal record each race. So if I can get 5 seconds better, 5 minutes faster, an hour faster, then I won. So when I get really tired, there's this little voice that comes up in my head that's like, hey, this is your inner bitch. What are you going to do to get through it? Mm-hmm. Now's the time.
And see, I'm opposite, which is part of the reason I've struggled in the last couple years with my own physical shape is I'm all competition. So my peak physical ability has always been when I'm playing sports at the highest level. So, for example, pre-quarantine, I was playing basketball multiple times a week at the YMCA, and I was in fairly good shape. And then that stopped, and I don't know if this is something similar to him, but I really struggle with internal motivation because I find, honestly, that I don't care as much about me physically as I do about beating whoever's in front of me physically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I was the same way for years and years and years. Honestly, the Ironman training, that was where I started to have that battle for like why, because when you're on like mile 100 on the bike or like mile 20 on the run, you're at that point mentally where your ego is dead. Mm-hmm. You are now existing with just you and your physical body, and it's a very spiritual experience. And after doing that a few times, I kind of came to the realization that like this feeling of just getting better, of like pushing myself way out of my comfort zone, that is the victory. The victory isn't beating Chet from Slovakia in this Ironman race. It's about beating myself.
Which is, see, I envy that because I want to do that. I don't know. I got to figure something out.
That's why I like Ironman personally. But I think everybody can find their own, whatever the Ironman is for you. You know, whether it's freaking knitting.
Men's league basketball.
Knitting softballs.
There we go.
Know, like deep water scuba diving. I don't know. You can find something that's going to push you out of your comfort zone. Let's go. Richmond, Virginia. Looks like we got Caroline.
Hi, my name is Caroline. I'm from Richmond, Virginia. I'm 25. And my question is, what do you think about the college system and people that are disabled? Do you think the college system is fair to children that are disabled? Or do you think it's unfair for children who are disabled?
Zach, do you want to speak on that? I mean...
Yeah, first I'll just start off with the college system in general. I have a little bit of a radical belief that only 10 to 20% of graduating classes should even be thinking about college. And a lot of people frown upon that because most people that are 35 and older right now when they grew up, you had to have a college degree to be successful. And then when millennials came along, the bell curve started to tip where so many people had college degrees that it just doesn't matter anymore. So first, I don't like the college system. I think less people should go. And then what was her second question? Is it fair to
disabled people? She was asking if it's fair or unfair for disabled children.
Are we clarifying mentally or
yeah,
physically?
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, I don't know. That'd be a good clarification. I'd say maybe like a mix of both. I mean, I would say in general, you know, if you're looking for like fairness with college, you know, I think it's about what is your expectation with it. College isn't necessarily fair.
No, and
it's like who can pay, who can get in, where can you get in?
Right.
That's where you're gonna be.
And then when you get into the economy, it's the same way. That's what's so tough about topics like this is the economy also doesn't care much about any individual. They care about what's bringing in market value and what's not bringing in market value.
Right.
And in the age of information, my challenge would be, rather than trying to make a system fair or unfair, make your own system or go seek the information that you want. It's all there.
Yeah.
It always blows my mind when people study things in college that have no market value whatsoever. To me, it's like, go to the library, get a book, learn about it, go to a YouTube channel that specializes in that, learn about it. But why are we spending 4 years somewhere learning about who knows what?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's just the ego of like where you're going to college, or like, you know, what prestigious university are you attending, and you know, how does that make you better than others or more competitive? But at the end of the day, we're moving into a skills-based economy. We're moving away from a credential-based economy.
Right.
So that's important to understand. So if you develop a skill, like Zach said, go on YouTube, go online, go into the library. There's so much access to information right now. So maybe I guess our tip here for you, Caroline, is stop seeking external validation from the school or fairness from the school, and just start creating that on your own. It's tough, right?
Yeah.
But it's so much more rewarding in the long term. All right, so we've got another call coming in here from Seal Beach, California.
Hey, this is Carlos. Shout out from Nora, California.
So Carlos.
Quick question. What lift kit did you get for the Tacoma and wheel and tire setup?
Lift kit on the Tacoma. We've got a 4-inch lift kit. It's all done by our buddy Nate Smith here in Michigan at BDS Suspension. And I've got a 4-inch lift kit, 35-inch tires. And yeah, that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah, as far as I know.
I don't know much about trucks, guys. So when you're asking me this stuff, it's like I know how to press the gas and drive over stuff.
Spence is a man with a cool truck.
Exactly. This beard is a front.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can you fill people in on the requirements of if you have a Tacoma and you're lifting it, what you need to get done?
Well, I can speak on that. Just the Tacoma isn't necessarily built for those for large lifts like that and large tires. So there's things that Nate's company had to do in regards to the wheel well and making sure you can have turning radius and re-gearing it, and there's a lot of things that go into it. So it's not whereas I drive a Jeep Gladiator Rubicon that's kind of set up more for getting a lift kit or something like that.
Yeah.
So Spence's truck went through a lot more modifications than
exactly.
Than mine will.
Yeah. Check out BDS Suspension. Honestly, check out my video on the YouTube channel. There's a link about the Tacoma overhaul that gives all that information. So Nate did a better job explaining it than I could try.
Sometimes when Nate talks, it seems a little Spanish to me.
It does. Yeah, when he starts talking about what's what, I'm like, dude, you got to chill out, bro. I'm a caveman.
English,
you got to remember
please.
that. All right, so we've got a call coming in here from Palo Alto, California.
Hi, Spencer. First of all, you the man, bro. I just want to say your Hawaii your Hawaii videos were spectacular to watch. I loved watching them every single day. But my question for you is, what would you say to kids who are in school right now, knowing that, you want to change the schooling system? What would you say to them to keep going every day in school when, there's a lot of people out in the world, including you, who think that, the schooling system is really messed up?
That's a good question.
I'd say keep challenging it. Ask as many questions as you possibly can. Keep up asking the teachers and the administrators, like your principal, your vice principal, why am I here? Why don't I have recess time? Why is lunch only 15 or 20 minutes long?
Yeah.
Why do I have to dress this certain way? Why do I have to do these things? Force the people in charge to give uncomfortable answers that they're not prepared to give. Because it is tough. I mean, I did it for 6 years, and I had kids every day asking, what's the point of this? And there were a lot of times, part of the reason why I stepped away, where I had to look at them and say, little buddy, I have no idea what the point of this is, my man. I have no idea.
Yeah, that's tough. We live in a system right now that is very I'm the adult, I'm the authority, I need to tell you what to do, you need to follow orders. Versus the most successful schools that I've visited in the world, whether it be from Finland, whether I was in China or in different parts of America, the best schools that I've visited are 100% student focused and student led. The teachers ask the students, what do you want to learn today? They don't tell you this is what you have to do.
Right.
That creates a very docile, complacent society.
So a more positive response for me too would be, I challenge the kids to try as many things as possible because public schools have a ton of resources.
Yep.
They've got TV productions rooms, gyms, like an actual basketball gym, a weight gym. They've got what are those big things called where they do plays? Auditoriums, theaters.
Take advantage of that's a really good point. I think that's the best advice you can do. If you're in the system, you feel like you're kind of stuck, you feel like you don't know what to do, take advantage of the resources around you and take everything that a teacher tells you what to do or like tries to get you to fear the world. Just take it with a grain of salt. Understand that you're young. You have your entire life ahead of you. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be challenging, but there's going to be so many incredible life moments that are ahead of you. Don't let anybody get you to fear that. And also use that time to dream, to visualize, to like really imagine what you want out of life and understand that it all starts in the mind, right? That's why we started Vybe Source, is because when you visualize yourself better every day, when you see an image in your mind, first, and you focus on that, it becomes your reality. You know, sometimes it just takes time. Like some of the visions I still hold on to, those visions started in 2015 and 2010. Even when I was a kid, I watched Rob Dyrdek, every morning or even after school. I watched Fantasy Factory, and I was like, I want my own factory. I want my own fantasy factory. Well, now we have it. And so that took like 15 years to manifest, right? So use the time that you have to daydream. Like teachers used to like get mad at me for daydreaming, but like that's one of the best skills you can have is to go into your mind and visualize things. That'd be my 2 cents there. All right, I'm going to pull up something we got from, this is a short one here, from Seneca, South Carolina. What do we got?
Is water wet?
Yes.
Classic.
Well, the answer is not yes. The answer is no. But
yeah, the answer is no. If we boil it down, I've thought about this for many hours, many weeks actually, possibly a fortnight. When you boil it down, an H2O particle is one single particle, right? So that is not wet in itself. It's just a particle. Now, if it's surrounded by other H2O particles that are touching it, then technically it's wet. But water itself is just one single H2O particle, so it's not wet.
Yeah, water makes things wet.
Exactly. All right, we got something from Orlando, Florida.
Yo, what's up, son? This is Douglas. The question would be, how was it like living with Logan Paul and like the crew, basically? Like, how was the experience? Would you ever move back in? Yeah, it's great, man. Love what you're doing. Keep it good work, bro.
What was it like to live with Logan? So I lived with Logan for about 2 years, and it was amazing. It was absolutely incredible. It was wild because, I mean, like every day you're waking up, there's like a bird chirping very loud. There's people running around screaming. Sometimes there's naked people. There's jets flying over. It's freaking chemtrails.
Jet skis and pools.
Got a freaking octagon in the backyard. There's people brawling. Celebrities are showing up. It was wild. So thankfully I had a room upstairs that was kind of like secluded from everything, that I made like my Zen station. Angel, that was like our kind of getaway when it got a little too crazy.
It was Vybe. Although one night you and I were sleeping, and Logan and Jay come in the bedroom and start jumping on the bed.
Yeah, that was fun. Honestly, it was so much fun. It was like one of the best chapters of my life. being around, like I've already talked about it, being around people who are so creative and they're always going and they're always coming up with like new ideas and acting on them like instantly. It's very contagious, you know, and like this is the reason why, you know, I'm doing a podcast and doing documentaries and like traveling the world and making content because of them, you know, because of living there.
Was it easier to make content while you were living there compared to now?
Not necessarily, because it was just a different time. You know, I was really focused on making content for Logan and for other people. And I wasn't in that space of like, let me focus on myself. Let me make, so I, you know, that was a chapter to make content for them. And it was a fun chapter. Yeah, this is close.
Hello, this is a courtesy call to let you know your prescription order is ready for pickup.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I don't have
breaking news. Pickup. You're prescribed to something.
Yeah, that's news to me.
How do I get started on YouTube?
How do I get started on YouTube? Post some videos, my G. Also, I would say to a young creator, go learn from somebody who's better than you. Like, go work for somebody else. I notice a lot of younger people getting started on YouTube. They are watching all these other content creators and they're just mimicking them. And they think all of a sudden they're just going to get millions of views. But I think the most important thing that you could do is go work for an influencer or a content creator for like a year or 2 years or 3 years. Like, remove your ego and just study from them.
I think you can go that route, or you can just go like what you first said, post some videos, my dude, trial and error, just let them rip. I always told my students, the earlier you start, the better. You're going to learn things, you're going to fail. It's going to be funny to look back and think, I posted that.
Right.
But you've got to go through those stages, because you're going to go through those stages no matter what. You can go work for someone for 4 years and then get super hyped up about your first video, and it's an absolute catastrophe, and you're still going to go through the same trial and error. So even a combination of both of those. But the number one thing is you got to activate. And from what I've seen being around people that post, because I'm not a big social media guy, I like to lay low. But from what I see, knowing so many people that do, you have to love what you're doing. Otherwise, it becomes a job quick. And when video content becomes a job, it stops almost immediately after.
Yeah, you got to have fun. You got to have fun. That's post videos. It doesn't matter. I have like 4 YouTube channels buried deep in the YouTube ethersphere in which I'm blowing bubbles on the bottom of a pool, sledding down a mountain, doing just ridiculous things. So, you know, you can post videos, and if that channel dries up, you can start a new channel. Some people are just like geniuses right off the rip. So
rumor has it there's a video somewhere of you walking up to the pencil sharpener repeatedly and seeing how many times you can sharpen a pencil in a class.
There's some stuff deep in there. Maybe you guys will find at some point. All right, I think it's time to wrap up this first episode. This is the number one podcast in the universe. This is the number one episode from this podcast, the Vybe Source Podcast. Before we do that, I want to end each episode off with a couple of bits of good news. Good news I saw, prisons across America are being repurposed and converted into gardens and places for like mental health facilities. So prison populations are actually plummeting because the war on drugs is pretty much over. The war on drugs won.
Yeah.
Drugs definitely won. So now prisons are starting to get abandoned. So what's happening is communities are like, what the hell do we do with this? So they're turning them into gardens. They're turning them into resource centers for local communities. I think that's a beautiful thing. Yeah. I think prison populations are down by like, I'm just going to make a stat up, but I think what I saw was like something like over like 60 to 80% or something like that.
That's really good.
So good. Hey, less criminals out there.
Less criminals, more green.
Stuff. Exactly. Also, Leonardo DiCaprio announced that Leonardo DiCaprio announced that the governor of Hawaii signed a House Bill 553 to create a sanctuary for sharks within Hawaii state waters. Shark populations are in decline, with 3/4 of all species possibly facing extinction. I got roasted on one of the Impaulsive podcasts about defending sharks. All right, I enjoy sharks. I don't enjoy them when I'm swimming with them. All right, I don't. But I know sharks are probably out there listening to this podcast. I don't want to piss one of them off. Do you?
No, but also 100% of shark attacks happen in the ocean, so your boy stays out of them.
Yeah. If you get in the ocean, just understand you could have a limb bitten off you at
Right.
any moment.
The worst
That's
is people that complain after that happens.
Right.
It's like, dude,
come on, dog.
Right.
You were out there. All right. Can you scroll down a little bit? We got a couple more good news stories. So El Salvador is the first country to adopt cryptocurrency as a legal tender. So now, which I didn't know chicken tenders you could have as currency, but apparently you can. So they have the US dollar, and now they're also accepting Bitcoin. So for these nations that are, their currency is just, the inflation is through the roof, they're switching over to cryptocurrency.
Well, they have nothing to lose.
No, they don't. Which I think is beautiful about cryptocurrency is, it's there's a limited amount. Like you have our current administration who's just printing money left and right. Inflation's the worst that it's been in 12 years. So I think this is really good news. I think there's amazing things happening with cryptocurrency, with technology, with human innovation. It's beautiful.
Love to see it.
Final good news of the day is 8 in 10 youth think gardening is cool, and half would rather visit a garden center than a nightclub. That's good news.
Is that because they can't go to the nightclub?
That could be it. That could be it. We haven't figured that out quite yet. But kids are liking gardening more. We actually started a garden during COVID, and you got some of the lettuce. Did you eat it?
Oh, yeah. Well, Britt took it for lunch today. We had some for dinner last night. It's fantastic. Fresh.
Yeah, that's some fresh stuff. That's it. That's episode 1. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Angel. Thank you, Zach. Woo! We'll see you guys episode 2. Make sure to call in and ask us anything. Make sure to subscribe. Give it a thumbs up. We love you. We'll see you soon.
Never trust a fart.
Never do it.